welcome to In a Godly Way. And our topic today is Women Unveiled. I'm speaking with Erika Etienne, best-selling author and curator of this project, and Dana Reed, a very talented, gifted, and up-and-coming creative writer, and one of the contributing authors to this book. So Erika, can you start by telling what your vision was for this project and the resulting compilation?
Yeah, absolutely. So this came about because I've always just enjoyed being a storyteller. And I started off doing plays and just bringing women together and collectively just sharing stories orally. And myself, at that time, wanting to write a book, I just felt led by the Holy Spirit to bring other women together to share their stories and highlight all of the things that women overcome and what they're doing. And I wanted to do something different in the sense that a lot of times we tell a story and it's a fairy tale, there's the perfect ending, but I wanted to tell the stories of real women and not so much a fairy tale, because some of them were still going through things, still trying to walk out this power, their purpose, and doing it in peace, but showing how they continue to persevere despite the storm. And so I just kind of rounded up a bunch of women who I was connected to in one way or another, or who someone told me, hey, this woman has a powerful story to tell, and just gave them an opportunity to share their truth in this compilation.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I'm inspired by the courage that these women had, because so many times we go through things and we feel we have to keep it a secret, or we feel ashamed because of what we went through, but not always realizing that we went through it so that we can help someone else get through it. And so the fact that they had the courage and the inspiration to go ahead and speak out so they can help someone else, I think that is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
So how long did it take to bring everything together?
I guess in terms of actually putting it in the hands of others was just over a year. It took, we started this project, I think I kicked it off in 2017, and we launched it and put it in the hands of other people the fall of 2018. So just over a year. You could certainly do those things faster, but I'm very attached to the final product and how it's going to look, and don't want any regrets in the end. So just over a year before that right time hit, and then we released it officially in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is important, to me. So
I think that's awesome that you were able to get everyone together. Quite often when you have other people contributing to things, your timeline gets expanded anyway. And I feel like, especially if it's such a personal thing, so they had to deal with that as they were writing. So, and that's a process. So not only were they writing, but they were healing at the same time.
Absolutely.
So, and that's absolutely a process. So I just want people to understand that that's not something that happens overnight. That takes time. Dana, can you talk about the chapter that you contributed to the book?
My chapter was actually dealing with my divorce. Actually, 2 divorces. It's entitled The Marriage Performance. And it's a little catch, because people will say, first of all, that marriage is not a performance. And secondly, how can you speak about, that I can speak about divorce. And so just like you said, our healing is in the process. And it was definitely just a healing process, because as you're writing it and rewriting it and rewriting it, you're going through that healing process. And so in writing that chapter, and then the way Erika strategically planned it with the title Restoration to Power, Purpose, and Peace, it made you focus on the different aspects that led you through the journey. And so it was a powerful way that she did it, because it just didn't leave you stuck, you know. And even though, like she said, some of us were still in the midst. I had gone through, my divorce had occurred in 2015. So I was 2 years out of my divorce, but still in that process. And some people were still in their situation. So like you said, that healing process was in there in different aspects. So my chapter happened to be one that I could reflect on, and I wasn't in, but it certainly helped me through the journey, just the whole healing process.
Mm-hmm. Because when we have to go through things like that, when you come out of it, the healing process includes a time of grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And that grieving itself is a process.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes you through several stages. So it all takes some time. So it can be years for some people before they actually go through the entire process and are on the other side of it and actually feel healed and feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's awesome that you came up with this idea, because not only are you helping others, but you're helping those authors that contribute, because you're helping them get through their process. So I think that's phenomenal. It's kind of a therapeutic.
I was about to say that. I was just about to say that it's therapy.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if I can add to that, you know, we shot a documentary with this. And one thing that I can highlight is that even so they wrote their chapters before we shot the film. And even in having to go back and then orate, right, and talk through it was a process in and of itself. So like Dana said, she went through this in 2015. There were a few that went through their stuff years before that, but sitting behind the camera and discussing it and discussing those intimate details, discussing your process, even that was cleansing, right? We saw a lot of tears. A lot of people didn't expect. They're like, I thought I was through this. I thought I was done with this. But it was like a final cleansing, you know, that happened. And they were allowed to really just even speak to the testimony now, right? And say like, wow, God brought me through this. And here I am sharing with you how I got through it. And it was just a beautiful process, you know, to be able to witness and watch them not only reflect back, but then talk about just where they are and where they're headed and how they would pour into somebody else, you know, and how they would inspire another woman and why they were sharing this story in the first place. So you don't just have the written words, but they were able to put a face to the story, which I think was, you know, probably the icing on the cake.
definitely. So
But then
go on.
I was about to say another point was that we didn't all know each other, and people say that women can't get along, and the spirit and the bond and the whole atmosphere when the women came together. We didn't, you know, some of us knew one or two people, but I don't think anybody knew everybody. You know, you didn't know everyone, and it was just a blessing to just. That sisterhood was strong.
Yes.
That kindred spirit was a blessing.
Yes. And that's something that you can continue.
Yeah.
So you can still continue to help each other.
Absolutely.
So I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One of my questions was going to be, what impact have you seen on your readers and your authors? So I get a sense that some of the impact on the authors has been that sisterhood that was created that Dana spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had feedback from your readers as to how this has affected them?
Yeah, I can share a few of them, some of which were, you know, related to specific stories, some related to the compilation overall. I'll give, you know, like 2 examples. So one in particular, a reader and viewer of the documentary was in her 70s, actually. And she specifically stated that because we came together and shared our stories, she was able to release a secret that she had been holding for like 60 years, something she had never confided in her mother about and her family about. And she had been stuck with this issue forever and felt like she didn't have a place to share it. But seeing the courage that all of us had to share our story, and then put it even on a film, it allowed her to pick up the phone and call and say, listen, I have been dealing with this all my life and I thought I was going to die with it. But she was able to let it go and even just have a conversation with God about it. So I think that story in particular touched me the most, because that's a lifetime. That's a lifetime of, pain to carry. And so it's just a blessing for her to be able to share that. So that's that. And then we had quite a few others, the co-authors reaching out saying, their family members, friends, whomever, were maybe not always blessed by their story, but someone else's story in the book. But because so-and-so was connected to Dana, allowed them to read these other, 12 stories and find themselves within those pages and be able to share the story. So we had so many people who have just got freedom. And if I can highlight the co-authors, even where they have elevated to after this, whether they are speaking themselves, where they have written another book, whether they have launched into like business, just they felt empowered coming out of this to do something else and to keep that momentum going. And I think it's been remarkable to see.
I love it. I love it. Now, I have heard from Dana that you have also launched a virtual study group.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, that was okay. So talk about that a little bit.
That's actually, I have a virtual group that I'm a part of. And again, you mentioned things and someone mentioned it and mentioned the book. And so the facilitator just said, well, hey, since we do these virtual book studies, let's just, let your book come up next. So Women Unveiled is now currently in the book study. And I think we end the end of April. So I'll definitely have, of course, some feedback from that, but it's about maybe 12 to 16 women that are online on Sundays at 7 p.m. going through each chapter. And probably a good 75% of the authors confirmed and are online, on the phone, on the call for that hour. We've had for various reasons, maybe 4 of them that couldn't show up, but yeah, the authors are coming on and we're getting on the line, and it's been a blessing. And we have never done that before, because usually when you go through a book, I don't think you go through a book of this caliber, of this nature, when you're sharing somebody's heart and taking them through that story. So it was a little bit, it's a little different than just having a book study and you're going through a book. This is someone's life and their story. But it's been a blessing, because you again see the connectedness, and it's empowering to women once you go through it to see women's story. The fact, like you said, that it's been in an empowerment, that they actually wrote it, had the courage to write it, and now are speaking to women with it. It's empowering.
I think that is just amazing. I think that because you have, by having the idea to put this book together, now you've grown a sisterhood, you've grown a community, you're going out and you're helping other people, and that's what it's all about. Helping others and spreading the word. I love it. I love it. So Erika, what's next? Have you done, I just heard that you've done another of these books. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So there's a volume 2 of the book, and second wave of this documentary coming out with a new group of women who are sharing their story. I can tell you it's Women Unveiled Volume 2. I haven't released the subtitle yet, but they're coming from a different angle, but we're still revealing the hearts of women. And so that should be out this spring. And we have, I think it's 10 or 11 of us together on this project. Same premise though, just getting into the hearts of women, allowing them to have a space to share their story, allowing them to pour out and pour into the women who will read these stories, or whomever, men can read it too if they like. But it is truly my heart's passion is to bring stories to life and to encourage people to realize like God is with you. He is for you. He will carry you through anything. But, we have similar experiences. I don't care how it looks on the outside. There's a story behind my smile. And so I just find it's important for us to give voices to people who wouldn't otherwise share.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think what you're doing is remarkable. And I'm thankful for the idea of being planted within you. And I'm thankful for all the women that have agreed to participate, because each of you are going to touch someone else's life. And that is just fabulous. We need that. We need that because, and especially over the past year, we have learned about the suffering of so many people, and people need something to help them to get through their situations. So this is one of those avenues that they can take. So I love it. I love it. So to wrap things up, are there any final thoughts that anyone wants to share about the project or anything coming up?
So I'll go first. So actually the chapter that I did actually is, I'm still in the process because it's divorce. I'm working with my pastor with my actual book. And so he's stepping me through the book and then the guide, because once you've had one divorce and then two divorces, when you start talking about writing about marriage, nobody wants to listen to you, but I take a different angle with that. That's who you do want to talk to. You of course, the ones that are married, but then the ones that have the unfortunate circumstances of divorce, and then can really look back with the God perspective, not the mess, but with the God perspective, and show you the pitfalls, to help you to avoid the pitfalls, to help you to, give you another insight. It's if I had the guidance, if I had looked at God another way, if I had got out of my own way, things like that. So it's a ministry to people in struggling marriages, or, it's not even necessarily a struggling marriage, but just in marriage, period. And so I knew, first of all, to go to my pastor and asked him about it. So we're actually walking through it, and hopefully it'll be finished by April. So we shall see.
Nice. Well, we'll have to talk about that one as well.
Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Dana.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like I said, I have the next Women Unveiled series that is coming up, and then I actually will be shooting some documentaries for other people this year who have their own stories, their own collaborations and things that they're working on. So I'll be on the other side of the camera this time, fully on the other side, getting those stories brought to life for some other amazing women, female entrepreneurs. And just continue to do God's work. I do a lot of things related to women's ministry. And so I will be continuing on that front this year and onward.
Amazing. That's the most important thing, is to let God use us. So tell us the complete name of the book and where it can be found.
Okay, it's the current one is Women Unveiled. Volume 1 is 13 stories of restoration to power, purpose, and peace. And so you actually can buy that book from each individual co-author. So if you know someone and you Google that, you can buy it directly from Dana, myself, from whomever. You can also get it on Amazon, anywhere books are sold, Amazon, you can find it on all of those places. You can also go to the Women Unveiled website and pick it up there as well. And womenunveiled.info.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, it has been wonderful speaking with you ladies today. I thank you for taking the time, and I thank you for giving an opportunity for women to share their personal stories and help others. And amen. I am praying for each of you that God will continue using you, and that you will continue touching lives and hearts of other people and making this world better. Our job is to bring heaven to earth, and that's one way to do it, reaching out to others. So thank you, ladies, very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All
right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.